Hey Anna,
Hey, Mike.
so we've just finished Billy's first 60 days of Antinol, and wow, what a difference.
Really? Oh my gosh, what have you noticed?
Well, he's shiner, he's much more energetic. Not that he wasn't beforehand, but you can see the difference. But remember, I told you he used to have that little limp in his back left paw that he'd hurt himself when he was a pup. He
Yes,
doesn't seem
yes.
to do that much anymore.
What, the hop, skip, and the jump?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like his joints are a bit better. And we actually had friends around this weekend who'd noticed that there was something good about Billy. And I was telling them about Antinol, and they said, "Oh, what's in it?" I said, "Well, green lip mussel." And they said, "What's that?" And I go, "Oh, well, I don't know. I'll have to ask Anna," as I always do. So
Well,
for next
green,
time, what should I say? What's so great
well,
about green lip mussel?
green lip mussel, it comes from New Zealand. It's the only place that green lip mussels live. And what's great about the green lip mussel is that it is what's known as a broad spectrum source of omega 3. And the reason dogs need to take omega 3 is that their bodies don't make it themselves. So, unless they're getting it through their diet, which can be omega 6 heavy. And it's very important to have a balance between omega 6 and omega 3. So it's normally through supplements that omega 3 is given. And green lip mussel is unique in its having everything from EPA, DHA, and ETA. So all the main omega 3s.
And how about Binks and Prudence? They must be much better as well.
Yeah, well, they've been on it for over a year and they've been on green lip mussel forever since I've had them. So Prue's 10 now. So she's had green lip mussel since the first day I brought her home, to be honest, but not Antinol. And I only wish I'd discovered Antinol earlier. I really honestly mean that because it's an oil rather than a powder. So its bioavailability, that means, its effectivity to get absorbed quickly and efficiently by the body is greater.
So people listening now and they want to discover Antinol for themselves, where do they go?
Well, all you have to do is go to Antinol, ANTINOL.co.uk, and then type in Anna Webb and get your special discount. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna Webb, and welcome to this week's episode of A Dog's Life. I'm talking to the vet, Paul Manktelow, all about the hazards of Christmas. And as ever, this episode is sponsored by Antinol. Paul Manktelow, welcome to A Dog's Life.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
Not at all. No, I've been really looking forward to this because you're a vet and you do work, I do believe, for the Blue Cross.
I do, yes.
And are you also in practice with your own practice?
No, I worked for the Blue Cross for full time for I've been with the Blue Cross actually for about 3.5 years now. But before that, I was with the PDSA for 19 years. So I've got a long sort of tenure in the charity veterinary sector.
Oh, that's so important, isn't it? Actually, particularly in this climate when vets are a bit under the old cloche a bit, really, with, you know, the CMA and stuff. So in a way, you fly above that, and that's a really good thing, I think.
It is, yeah, but I mean, it's also sort of good to help and support the rest of the profession in how to really provide affordable veterinary care as well. Because at charities, we are sort of the experts at running efficient practices and keeping our costs down. So, a time like this, where there's a cost of living squeeze, everybody's really struggling to afford even basics, and veterinary care has increased so much in cost over the last few years. So, it's really great to be in a position where we can help and support other vets across the profession in how to treat cases pragmatically and with a real welfare focus as well.
Absolutely. And that kind of really segues nicely into talking about vet emergencies at Christmas. Well, I was doing a bit of research actually over the weekend, and I discovered that, the national chain of vets called Vets Now. They had one Christmas recently where over the holiday week, they actually reported 18,000 emergency cases come in just in that sort of week to 10 days. What do you make of that?
It doesn't surprise me at all, Anna. And I've been a vet for over 20 years now, and I've often been working over Christmas in an emergency situation. And you will always see dogs brought in that have managed to get hold of something that they shouldn't have done, that have managed to, chew on decorations, get into the Christmas booze, all sorts of things. And I've had some incredibly busy shifts where sometimes it feels like you're seeing all of those 18,000 yourself in one day, which can be particularly harrowing as well. But it's a great time of year. It's lovely, but we've got so many friends and family round. We've got all these different things we bring into the house, and a lot of them are hazards. So it's really important that people are aware of what's good and what isn't for our dogs.
Absolutely. Understanding that your dog is a dog, they are natural born scavengers and opportunists. Would you agree on that?
Absolutely. And remember, a lot of these things are sort of wrapped up, and they're under the tree and in the perfect location for our dogs to get them. And when we've got lots of people around the house, especially children as well, a lot of things sort of fall on the floor or are given to the dogs. And we see a lot of tummy upsets over Christmas. And my dog Rodney, he's 4 now, but one of his first Christmases, my mother-in-law wrapped him up some dog treats to give him on Christmas Day. And the whole excitement of him opening that present up has obviously stuck with him. So now, whenever he sees a wrapped present, he thinks it's his and he wants to unwrap it. So we just can't have any presents or anything on the floor at all over Christmas because he's an opportunist. He'll go in there and he'll grab it.
Quite right too, I mean, that's the thing. But dogs are family, and I think everybody really wants them, quite rightly so, their dog to be a part of the massive family annual experience. But we must note that we're living in a climate where I think the statistic, Paul, is that 70% of Britain's dogs at the moment suffer from severe anxiety. So actually, it's important to understand your own individual dog. Like you said there with Rodney, he's learned very smartly that these things under the tree sometimes have tasty treats in. So he's going to really try and find the one that does, at the expense of everything else. Yeah, it's this anxiety thing, isn't it, that's lurking. I've done a lot of research at them on stress, actually, like human stress, Paul, right? And how that is contagious to dogs.
Mm.
What do you think on that? Because a lot can be done to minimize accidents by the humans themselves, not the dogs. I mean, it's not the dog's fault, is it, really?
Yeah.
And stress, I think, even running into Christmas, like now, dogs are picking up. Because there was that study out of the University of Belfast, which I just loved. It's quite recent, 2019. I'm a bit of a dog nerd, so I like reading these things. Gosh, I am so much fun. But it proved that dogs do actually compute stress when they smell it on our breath, the cortisol hormone. But the worst thing is it puts dogs, according to these scientists, in a pessimistic mood.
Well, I completely agree. Dogs mirror our emotions in all sorts of different ways. You mentioned stress and anxiety there, but also we see it a lot with grief as well. When you are grieving, your dogs often can reflect those emotions in you as well. But yeah, you're right with stress and anxiety. Christmas, we all say it's a great time of year, but it is really stressful. The lead up to Christmas is stressful. Even the day itself is incredibly stressful. There's all sorts of noise and extra things going on. And I think a really good tip is that if your dog is becoming overwhelmed, and Rodney does get very, very excited, he loves people, but I can see that sometimes he's getting a little bit too overexcited. So having a quiet room, pop him off there, let him chill out for a couple of hours, or even better, take him out for a nice long walk and get him out to sort of decompress because it is an exciting. It's a very unnatural time of year as well, isn't it? In terms of how busy our house becomes.
Yes, and we sort of have got out of the habit of it all, really. I think, post-pandemic, we are living still in a slightly different kind of mentality, would you say? I
Mm,
mean, it is strange, but there's a lot you can do to minimize disaster, isn't there? I mean, what are the main foods that you kind of raise your eyebrows at, and or see when you go round to some friends or something and you think, oh no, please don't have those mince pies just located there. Because, in a blink of an eye, that dog, I remember with Molly, my first miniature bull terrier, when she ate a whole cheese board. Could have been worse. I mean, at least cheese isn't toxic, but, it was a really stinky brie and the whole works. And it was embarrassing. I mean, so embarrassing. She actually managed to jump on a chair, hop onto a table and gone. And it was like, where's the cheese, Anna? And I'm like, oh gosh, you're joking, Molly. And so it could cause, embarrassment as well.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there. We often have things out on tables, don't we? So whenever I go to people's houses, and there's the classic sort of nuts or chocolates that are always in an open sort of table there, I'm always moving them to a higher shelf, or up to a kitchen work surface where the dogs can't usually reach them, but some dogs obviously can. But it's those things that are just left out, and chocolates we've talked about, and I always think, oh, people get it now. People understand that chocolates are toxic to dogs, but then every Christmas we will see dogs that have been brought in. I went into somebody's house once and they'd shown me that they had these lovely, very premium sort of posh chocolates on the tree as Christmas decorations with their dogs standing there. It's like, take those off straight away. And it's the dark chocolate that is the problem. It's the theobromine rich, cocoa rich content that you often see around Christmas, because they're the nice treats, posh chocolates as I call them.
Yeah.
But it's anything that's left around. Obviously, anything with raisins, grapes, sultanas in it, so it's your mince pies, your Christmas puddings. Again, they can be quite dangerous. But just generally, a Christmas dinner is not great for dogs. It's very rich, it's very fatty. If there's onions and things like in the stuffing or the gravy, again, they can cause problems. But that whole sort of fat content and richness can trigger problems like pancreatitis in dogs as well. But we know people want to give their dog a Christmas dinner. We know that. So stick to, the lean meat. No bones, avoid all the skin and things like that from the turkey, and some vegetables, and that they'll love it, but don't overload it with things because you think they'll love it, but actually will cause them tummy upsets.
Yeah, and I guess really be mindful of that turkey carcass, because you might have something like a Vizsla that's more than capable, paws up, counter surfing, a bit of dexterity, a bit of mouth action. I have known a dog to eat a whole chicken carcass. How that dog didn't die, I don't know, but it didn't. But that's like, oh.
Yeah, and it's also all the amount of sort of waste and rubbish we have, isn't it? And I've seen people that have packaged up, the leftovers and things, and then left a bin bag on the kitchen floor, waiting for it to go out while they go and sort of. We are so distracted, aren't we? We're busy doing so many things, but dogs are opportunists. They'll see that and they'll be like, okay, that's mine. I'll go for it. And yeah, but I've seen, dogs eat not just foodstuffs as well, chewing on fairy lights and being electrocuted, tinsel, eating tinsel. We had a dog brought in to our Grimsby hospital that had eaten a Christmas bauble as well. And luckily that dog was fine, but it had glittery poops for days afterwards, as that all that glitter passed through. And we've known dogs. We had a 7-month-old German Shepherd brought in because it managed to drink a whole bottle of Advocar as well, a spirit as well, knocked it off the side table, and the bottle smashed, and the dog licked it all up. So again, alcohol is a thing that we see often as well.
Gosh, yes. I mean, I never think of alcohol, but you're right. That's another aspect. And I suppose as we're all having a bit of a tipple, you forget about the dog.
Mm.
I mean, what would you say to sticking to your dog's normal routine?
I mean, that's the gold standard for me, isn't it? Try and disrupt their routine as little as possible, not just from a stress and anxiety perspective, but also from just a rhythm. Feed them at the same time. Take them for walks at the same time. Trying to keep their routine as similar as possible. But it's hard because our routines go out the window as well, don't they, over Christmas? And it's a really tricky one to manage.
Well, yes, it is. But I mean, there again, if you think about the old acronym perfect planning,
Mm.
prevents bleep, bleep, you know, performance,
Yeah.
you know, you could actually an investment into your dog, appreciating how they're seeing Christmas and to make it as good for them as we want it to be for us. You know, you could be saving yourself a fortune in vets, you know, and of course, ruining Christmas Day because you're trying to find a practice that's open, that has space. I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse. I mean, I'm super, super vigilant, actually. I mean, I really keep my dogs out of Christmas as much as possible. We can't have a tree because I've got a cat. That's the other thing as well. We mustn't forget cats in the mix here as well. You know, I don't know how people have a tree and a cat. I mean, I just say, you know, respect to you. My first cat, certainly he was 8 kilos and he was thin. I think he must have been part Maine Coon in his past. He was just a moggy stray that I took it. But anyway, but he would have just tipped a Christmas tree over, I mean, in like seconds. So we just don't have a Christmas tree, actually. I know that sounds a bit bar humbug.
Well, actually, also through the real Christmas trees, some of the oils that they secrete can be irritant to cat's skin as well. But if you think about it, you know, the way cats behave and play and that hunt-based sort of attention they have of things, a Christmas tree is just a huge hunting ground. It's got all these dangly things that they can play with. They love playing with string and linear things, cats as well. So we often see at Christmas where they ingest tinsel. And of course, that can bunch up in the guts and cause intestinal obstructions as well. So Christmas trees are a real hazard, especially for those playful dogs, but more so for cats, I would say. I've seen people do upside down Christmas trees that they suspend from the ceiling, but I just think that you know probably is more of a temptation for a cat, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually saw something on Instagram that I thought, gosh, I mean, when are these sort of inventions going to stop, you know? But I don't know if you've seen it. I actually thought, do you know what? That's not a bad idea. It's actually a plastic Christmas tree, right, that you put together, but it's kind of the middle of it is actually a cat tower. And then so the cat's got its normal like bed bit to go in, but you know, you basically make it as big and add these attachments of plastic Christmas tree around it. But of course, you're still not going to get around the fact of the decorations, unless, of course, you go really old fashioned and make like paper chains and use like paper decorations or, you know, felt fabric, use fabric. But I suppose the dog could still eat that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just. I think you said there that you were super vigilant, and I think that's the key to all of this. Is just you've literally got to have your eyes on your pets all the time, and it's hard because it's so busy, isn't it? But just think of everything as a hazard, and it sounds quite miserable and pessimistic. But having worked you know, in this profession for over 20 years, I've seen pretty much everything around Christmas time with pets that have ingested things, got themselves into trouble. One of the worst cases I saw actually was a bull terrier that the owner had sort of was in the middle of cooking the Christmas dinner. It was an English bull terrier and had sort of checked on the roast potatoes and pulled the tray out and turned to the other side, and the dog had got in and eaten some of those hot roast potatoes straight out of the oven and ended up in hospital for a very long time with all sort of burns down the esophagus and things like that. Really, really horrible. But it was just that split second where you turn your attention the other way, and yeah, it happens. It can happen very quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, understanding your own individual dog, you know, their strengths and their limitations. I've got a bull terrier. I've had bull terriers there for over 23 years, and they are arguably the most difficult breed of dog you can possibly choose to live with. But at the same time, they're so funny and great. But gosh, that really upsets me about that roast potato thing. Oh, how sore would that have been?
Yeah, yeah. And
But
also, when you are giving things like, you know, I don't really recommend giving roast potatoes to dogs anyway. I think a bit of mashed potato without any butter, I think is okay on a Christmas dinner style thing. But those hot potatoes really hold in heat as well. And if you're giving them hot or warm, dogs don't cut them up and chew them properly. They just wolf them down. So it can cause problems. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but again, you see, it all goes back to training and everything you've put into the dog prior to Christmas or
Mm,
any big thing. You know, I mean, I'll never forget. We had Kath Kitson on actually on the radio show I do with
mm.
Joe Good, and her Lakeland Terrier managed to trip her up in the kitchen, and she broke her hip.
Wow.
I know. So on a normal day, not just Christmas, but
Mm,
it highlights why kitchens and dogs are kind of, let's create these boundaries. And if
mm,
you've created boundaries with your dog at the beginning, then dogs are happy to be in their bed in another room with an appropriate chew. They don't mind,
yeah.
and you keep them calm, keep them away, really
Mm,
away from any hazards. I mean, that would be my behavior recommendation to
yeah.
everyone, really. And see, because here we go. I mean, Paul, do you think dogs know it's Christmas?
I don't know if they know it's Christmas as such, but I think they recognize that there is something going on that is not normal and not usual, mainly because of the build up, the hype, the disruption, the different, people often move their furniture around to put the tree up, which is, so there's obviously that sort of disjointed feel. I mean, some dogs probably get quite excited by it. Some dogs, like you say, can probably feel quite anxious around Christmas time. And that's the other thing that I just wanted to mention as well is that kids at Christmas, obviously, Christmas is super exciting for kids. Rodney loves kids and he will follow them around. But there's a couple of issues that I've got with that. One of them is that with all this food stuff everywhere, kids aren't as sort of moderated in those rules, if you like, about not giving dogs tidbits. And also, there's that distraction. If you're busy cooking or doing or preparing in another room, is that leaving the dog with the kids unattended as well is not something, especially with all those toys everywhere and the kids very wound up. It's another thing that I think you've got to be really vigilant about.
Yeah, I know. And children, unless your dog is socialized to quite a high level with children, which, okay, some are, but some aren't, then other accidents could unfortunately occur.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have seen an increase in dog aggression and dog bite attacks in the UK, especially since the pandemic. But the vast majority of those are with family dogs in the home, with a dog that people didn't previously think, was a problem. But it's often dogs are sort of backed into these situations, aren't they? One of my nephew, Rodney adores him absolutely, but I would never leave them in the room together unattended. And it was absolutely brought to life the other weekend when he was staying and. The little boy absolutely adores Rodney, but Rodney's bed's in the corner and he was just sat sort of staring at him face on. And I said, I'll come away. Dogs don't like that, and you have to keep reminding them. So it's that what seems quite innocent and adoring. Dogs could find that quite confrontational, just being stared while he was in his safe space. So it's just things like that, and you've just got to be on it. You've just got to be very vigilant. And I think if you're in doubt at all, pop your dog in a nice quiet room, out of the way of all the chaos, and let them have a bit of a chill.
Yeah, absolutely put the radio on and also manage, I think, for me, the central heating. I'm always mindful that dogs can get very hot and very stuffy very
Mm,
quickly, a bit like, the summer, central
mm,
heating in a way. It's not worse than the sun, but
mm.
it has its own issues. So I'm very keen on having drafts, windows open, and heating on because of the dogs, because
Mm.
that can also, trigger being hot and bothered, can create a bit of a bite reaction.
Yeah, and I think we underestimate the importance of sleep as well, don't we? And rest. And if you think about a normal day, so a normal day for Rodney is he'd have a nice long walk in the morning, then he'd have a really good solid period of about 3 or 4 hours where he's just sleeping now, and then another walk in the afternoon, and another chunk of time where he'd have a nice long sleep, and that's his routine. And dogs sleep a lot more than us, and they would, that they need that sleep. But if you think about a typical sort of Christmas day or a day over the holidays, there's just something going on all the time, and our dogs don't get the rest that they need, and they can get crappy and irritable, and all those things you talked about. The central heating's cranked up all day, so we've got all the family round. All those things can affect that ability to rest and sleep, which again is super important.
Yes, absolutely. And all the smells, I suppose, as well. Because, the dog's olfaction. So they'll be thinking, oh, yeah, Uncle Tom's arrived. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, here
yeah.
we go.
Okay, here we
Yeah.
go. And of course, to understand their hearing is so much more acute than ours. So
Mm.
a screech from a toddler, can be a bit
Mm.
ear piercing for us. But for a dog, that's almost on the level of a firework.
Mm, mm.
And that,
Well, yeah, and dogs are clever as well, aren't they? So, I remember when I used to go and stay at my mum's, and she had two dogs of her own, and I used to bring Rodney up as well. And if ever we were eating anything or having a snack or whatever, the dogs would come into my mum's chair and all put their heads on her lap on a chair, staring at her. And I'd be like, oh, the dogs are doing that because you obviously give them tidbits. Oh, I don't. I never give them any tidbits. And I'm like, well, they're telling a different story. They're not going to anybody else. And so sometimes your dog gives you clues about where the risks are with the family members. Like you said, Uncle Tom there, when he comes around. If your dog is staring at them while they're eating or showing begging behaviors, that could be because they've learned that that's the person that they go to. And I think that's one of the reasons probably Rodney follows the kids around, because whenever they're eating, there's food flying everywhere, isn't there? So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, flying everywhere. That's the thing. I mean,
Mm.
I actually had a good chomp on a panettone this weekend because I actually love it. It's my treat at Christmas. I don't know, I just love the stuff. But of course, as you chomp on it, it's quite light. So the
Mm.
raisins and the candied peel
Oh yeah.
can just kind of fall out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm on the floor picking up a raisin,
Yeah.
But with children, if they're sort of eating mince pie and it all crumbles and falls everywhere, before
Mm.
you know it, I mean, how toxic? I mean, what would you say? Are raisins worse than chocolate, or is chocolate worse than raisins, or does it all depend on the quantity and the dog?
So, in my experience, I would say chocolate is, I think, more dangerous because it affects every dog, I would say. And if they have enough of that cocoa content, they can end up in serious problems. I would always say avoid raisin sultanas as well. But it's not, it doesn't seem to be every dog that's affected, but you can't tell. You can't tell if your dog's eaten some, raisins or sultanas. You need to get them treated anyway. But I've seen consistently dogs that eat chocolate will always become unwell if that cocoa content is high enough in that chocolate, or they've eaten enough of that chocolate to cause them a problem. So I would go for chocolate as the big baddie from my perspective.
Right. Okay, Paul. So listen, everybody. Chucky is the big bad guy. Tell us about Rodney then. What type of dog is he and how old is he? You speak so fondly of him. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
So he's four now,
Oh,
actually.
you said, yes.
Yeah, he's four now. And yeah, he's a real Heinz 57. We did a DNA test on him about a year ago, or a couple of years now. And he is 12 different types of terrier. And 3% Chihuahua at the bottom, so I think that's where he gets his attitude from. But his top three are um, Parsons, Jack Russell, Patterdale, and Border Terrier, and then he's just got nine other terriers all thrown in there as well. So yeah, he's a real sort of mixed match. But yeah, he's got that real terrier attitude. Like, he is very independent. And my last dog actually was a Staffy Cross. She was a rescue from a charity I was working for, and she was one of those dogs that would just want to be in your company all the time. She'd follow you around. She'd want to sit and just be in the same room as you all the time. Whereas Rodney will go and sit in another room and just want to be on his own. And if you're talking too loud, if me and my husband are having a conversation, he'll just stand up, he'll huff, and then he'll walk out as if to say, will you two shut up? Like, I'm trying to have a rest here. So he's so independent, but he's lovely. He's lovely.
You see, I love that about terriers. I don't, I mean, my bull terrier will do that. Well, funnily enough, I mean, she really taught me through the pandemic, or highlighted the stress thing, because I'd get quite stressed out about Zooms and things like that in the
Mm,
pandemic, and the laptop wouldn't work. And I'm not great with technology. I'm much better with real animals and
mm,
people in real life. I noticed. I thought, hang on a minute. She just gets up and leaves the room. She's like, oh
mm,
God, get over yourself. You're
mm.
embarrassing. I can't bear it when you behave like this. It's so uncool. And, they're quite stoic bull terriers. Not a lot flaps them. And she'd be like, oh, but the face on her would be like, oh, just like saying, you are embarrassing. I'm out of here. And, it really taught me. And then all these studies have come out recently about stress being contagious. So it's something I try my best to manage because it's all in my hands. So it's a lesson to us, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's interesting seeing the different sorts of behaviors as well. Like my previous dog would want to sort of almost not appease everybody because she was quite confident, but she'd want to go and say hello to everybody in a room. Whereas Rodney will go and say hello to maybe one or two people, and that's it. And the rest of people just ignore. So he's very confident about who he wants to engage with and who he's not that bothered about. And he's the same with dogs out and about as well. Some dogs he will just completely ignore. He won't be interested in engaging with at all. And other dogs he's really interested in. So yeah, very, very confident little man he is. Yes.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, I think in the dog world, you call that they're their own dog. And that's fantastic. So I bet he doesn't really suffer from anxiety either at all.
Well, I mean, if you look at him, he's just so calm and relaxed. He's literally laid at the moment with his legs in the air and just living his best life, really. So yeah, no, he's pretty good, I would say. Interestingly, though, when you talk about disruption, we moved last year to Ealing, West London, and before that, I lived in Crystal Palace, and he knew all the dogs in the area before then. So we did have a bit of an issue when he were trying to get him to adjust to the new area. He didn't seem to like one particular park, and he'd had a bad experience when we first took him for a walk in that park with a dog that was sort of out of control. It wasn't aggressive, but it flew at him and jumped on him, and quite a young dog, and he didn't like that at all. So it took us a while for us to get him comfortable and confident in that parking, and that was him that was very, very, very confident with all dogs to all of a sudden going, I don't really like the dogs in Ealing. I like the dogs where I used to live, but I don't like them here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have episodic memory, as we know. That was proved not that long ago.
Yeah.
And so, but listen, gosh, so they remember things and with the association of where that happened and what caused their issues. So, but Paul, listen, so thank you. So your top tips are: be mindful, keep your dog to their normal routine as much as you possibly can, avoid cooked bones at all costs, and chocolate is your big baddie.
Yeah, be vigilant, and everything is a hazard at Christmas is probably my top advice.
Well, brilliant. Let's hope we all get through it smoothly, and it'll be lovely to catch up with you again, Paul, in the new year.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, thank you. That's our show, everyone. Well, I hope you found that informative. Thanks, of course, to Paul Manktelow for joining us today, and to my producer, Mike Hansen, for all the music and production as ever. And if you're interested in finding out more about Antinol, then check out their website. You can just type in my code, which is AnnaWeb, and receive your special discount. And if you haven't already, go on, subscribe. It's free, and that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.